Let's get right into it. Number 1. The self-decapitating worms. Imagine being so stressed out that you decide the only logical solution is to rip your own head off. And then, even weirder, imagine that a whole new you grows back from that severed head. Welcome to the bizarre world of the planarian flatworm. These little guys are the superheroes of regeneration. You can chop them into dozens of pieces, and each piece will grow back into a complete, fully functioning worm. Scientists have been studying them for ages to unlock the secrets of their regenerative superpowers. But a few years ago, researchers at Tufts University stumbled upon something deeply unsettling. They were studying how planarians regenerate after being exposed to different kinds of radiation. They had a control group of worms that they left alone in a petri dish of plain water. But the water wasn't as pure as they thought. It contained traces of an environmental pollutant, a common herbicide. The worms in this clean water started acting strangely. They would twist and contort, and then, in a horrifying act of self-destruction, they would decapitate themselves. Their bodies would literally tear their own heads off. But this wasn't suicide, it was a desperate, last-ditch survival strategy. The pollutant was causing their bodies to fail, so the worm stem cells initiated a radical reboot. The severed head, containing the brain and the core cells needed for regeneration, would then grow a brand new, healthy body, free from the contaminated tissue. The experiment accidentally discovered a creature that, when faced with a toxic environment, chooses to become a monster to itself, ripping itself apart in order to be reborn. It's nature's most metal solution to a pollution problem. Number 2. The guards who became tyrants. Sometimes, the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones with claws or extra heads, but the ones that look just like us. In 1971, a Stanford psychology professor named Philip Zimbardo decided to find out what happens when you put good people in an evil place. He set up a fake prison in the basement of the psychology building, rounded up 24 mentally healthy, well-adjusted college students, and randomly assigned them to be either prisoners or guards. The experiment was supposed to last for 2 weeks. It didn't even make it to 6 days. The transformation was chillingly fast. The guards, who were given nothing more than a uniform, a wooden baton, and a pair of sunglasses to hide their eyes, almost immediately began to abuse their power. They weren't told to be cruel, they just became cruel. They subjected the prisoners to humiliating and psychologically damaging punishments, like forcing them to do push-ups with a guard's foot on their back, making them clean toilets with their bare hands, and waking them up in the middle of the night for pointless roll calls. The prisoners, in turn, became passive, helpless, and emotionally broken. Some had full-on mental breakdowns. The situation spiraled so far out of control, so quickly, that Zimbardo's own girlfriend, now wife, another psychologist, had to intervene and beg him to shut it down. The experiment didn't create a physical monster, but something far more insidious. It revealed a monster that can lurk just beneath the surface of ordinary people. It showed that the right or wrong situation can strip away our humanity and turn us into tyrants or victims, proving that the most dangerous laboratory is sometimes just a handful of people and a bad idea. Number 3. The all-seeing cat eye. Your brain is a remarkably adaptable piece of equipment. If one sense is taken away, it often rewires itself to boost the others. But what if you could force it to rewire in a way it was never meant to? What if you could make an animal see with the part of its brain that's supposed to hear? That was the question a team of neuroscientists at MIT, led by Mrgunka Sir, decided to answer in 2000. They didn't just want to see if it was possible, they wanted to watch the brain's incredible flexibility, or plasticity, in action. Their subjects were newborn ferrets. In these infant animals, they performed a delicate and incredibly complex bit of neurological rerouting. They detached the part of the brain that processes visual information from the eyes and instead plugged the optic nerves directly into the auditory cortex, the part of the brain that normally processes sound. Essentially, they made it so that any information coming from the ferret's eyes was sent to their hearing center. The result was astounding. The ferrets weren't blind. They could see. Their auditory cortex, which had never been designed to interpret light, shadows, or shapes, learned how. It reorganized itself, creating structures that mimicked a normal visual cortex. The ferrets could follow moving dots and respond to visual cues, proving that the brain is less like a set of specialized tools and more like a universal, all-purpose computer that can learn to run almost any software you throw at it. The experiment was a monumental leap in understanding brain plasticity, but it also created a creature whose entire perception of reality was fundamentally re-engineered, an animal that was hearing sights and seeing sounds in a way we can barely comprehend. Number 4. The mouse with a human ear on its back. Some things are just so visually bizarre they burn themselves into your memory forever. The Vacanti mouse is one of those things. In 1997, a photograph started circulating that looked like a doctored image from a bad sci-fi movie, a normal-looking white mouse, but with a perfectly formed human ear growing out of its back. People were horrified, confused, and fascinated. Was it real? Oh, it was very real. This wasn't some mad scientist's art project. It was a groundbreaking experiment in tissue engineering led by Dr. Charles Vacanti at the University of Massachusetts. The goal was to prove that you could grow human cartilage in a controlled way, which could one day help people who were born without ears or lost them in an accident. The ear wasn't actually a functioning human ear. It was a biodegradable scaffold, shaped like a 3-year-old child's ear, that had been seeded with cartilage cells from a cow. This ear-shaped mold was then implanted under the skin of a special type of mouse called a nude mouse, a strain that has a genetic mutation preventing it from having a thymus gland, which means it has no immune system to reject foreign tissue. The mouse's body acted as a natural bioreactor, feeding the cartilage cells with nutrients and allowing them to grow and multiply, eventually forming a solid, stable ear structure. The experiment was a massive success for regenerative medicine, but it also gave the world an unforgettable and deeply unsettling image. It was a living sculpture demonstrating the future of medicine, a creature that was part mouse, part cow, and part human-shaped art project. Number 5. The Army of Zombie Ants. Imagine an ant, going about its day, carrying crumbs and following its little ant buddies in a line. Suddenly, its brain is hijacked by a parasitic fungus called Ophiocordyceps. The fungus is no longer content to just live inside the ant, it wants to be in charge. It forces the ant to abandon its colony, climb up the stem of a plant to a specific height and humidity level, and clamp its mandibles onto the underside of a leaf in a death grip. The ant is now a prisoner in its own body, a zombie piloted by a fungal overlord. The fungus then consumes the ant from the inside out and sprouts a stalk from the back of its head, which rains down spores to create a whole new generation of zombie ants. This sounds like the plot of a horror movie, but it happens every day in tropical forests. Scientists at Penn State wanted to understand this process better, so they infected ants in a lab to watch the corporate takeover unfold. Using electron microscopes and 3D imaging, they discovered something even more horrifying than they imagined. The fungus doesn't actually infect the ant's brain. Instead, it forms an interconnected network of fungal cells throughout the ant's entire body, controlling its muscles directly. The brain is left completely intact, a helpless passenger watching its body be puppeteered by a network of alien tissue. The scientists essentially created a tiny, observable zombie apocalypse, revealing that the monster isn't just a brain snatcher, it's a full-body puppet master, turning the ant into a walking coffin before killing it in the perfect spot to continue its reign of terror. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.